Well, we're finally live. New Year's Day.
We're finally live. New Year's Day.
With a small delay. I'll turn the volume down.
With a small delay. Turn the volume down.
Okay. So, what we're going to do here for the next couple of hours, we're going to build some adapters. Let's see if we can get an example. So this is a RAM adapter that we're basically gonna make. We're not gonna do the drilling here today, but we are gonna make the donuts. This could very well turn into a very boring live feed, and it could get exciting. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so we got this here bar of 7-inch 1045 is what we're gonna use for the material. And we're going to do this on our 1967 Hitachi Seiki turret lathe or capstan lathe, depending on what you like to call it. So, shop's a bit messy as it always is. I make no apologies for any of it. It's my shop. As they say, it's mine. I'll wash it as fast as I want. But anyway, the same applies for my shop. I'll work in it as dirty as it wants. So we got to do first things turn the power on. Now, this thing runs on a roto phase. Everything in this shop is running, like the mill, and everything's running off a 100 amp panel here. So we got to turn on the roto phase. Clicking on the panel. We'll probably run this live feed for half an hour or an hour here today, just for the heck of it. Mostly I just wanted to see how well this worked. I've got these DJI cameras. I'm actually wearing another one around my neck here, and I've been trying to figure out how to make this camera live feed for quite a while, and I finally, with the help of Google, figured it out. So, yeah, we're going to take a stab at it here. So, as you see, my key's in the chuck. Another thing doesn't bother me one bit. So we'll tighten this billet up in the jaws here. And my snipe. This time of year, it's hard to make real videos just because I'm so busy in the shop. As working on New Year's Eve would probably suggest I don't have a lot of extra time available, so doing a live feed maybe is the next best thing. And there we are, we're spinning, and back her out a little bit. Actually, before we go too far, probably a good idea to oil the ways on the lathe. I just use hydraulic oil in my squirt can. Go through a whack of it. Should be plenty. Let me know, guys, if you have any questions. I can't guarantee for sure that I'll answer them during the live stream, but if you put them in the comments, I'll go back and answer them there after this is all done. So we got to kind of screw around here. When I put the digital readout on here, it ended up blocking off the fill hole. So now I just take one of these breather bolts for the sight glass, and I just pump it in. Usually I'll go through a can like this in the run of a day, and there's a pump in here that runs off of the cross slide lead screw. So every time I turn the lead screw, it runs that pump and delivers oil up both to the cross slide ways and to the saddle ways. So keeps things from wearing out. But I try to remember to keep it full because it goes through it. As you can see how much oil is just thrown around on this thing. It's almost done, guys. Almost done. Alright, so we got a can in there. And before we start cutting, we'll set up our bandsaw. So I usually have this timed pretty darn good so that when I'm just about done with that part, I will have the next part sawed off of this log. And oh Jesus, I think I forgot the dog outside. Where's he at? I hear him scratching at the door. No, he's not out here. Hopefully I didn't lose my dog. Not in his bed. There you are. What are you doing hiding over there on the blanket? Are you hiding on the blanket over here? Oh, you big sook. You big sook. Want to set up your bed? Here, hop up. Hop up. Let's go put your blanket on your bed. You probably like it there because of the warm air blowing from the furnace. So we'll take your bed. We'll put you up here on this nice elevated position. We'll put your blanket down. There you go. Atta boy. Oh, Dad's big fella. We almost lost our boy. This summer you can see his hair starting to go back. They shaved his whole abdomen so that they could give him an ultrasound, see what was wrong with him. He had some sort of autoimmune disorder that basically his immune system was attacking his red blood cells, so he had to go to the vet college for a few days and get some blood transfusions, and we got a pretty good scare, but he's back on the mend now. Happy to be with me at work, and I'm happy to have him, so I'll close that door and we'll get at it. There, you get comfortable. It's 138 pounds, the heaviest he's ever been, but he's a big sweetheart. Hey, are you a big softie? 10 years old. Try to get a few more years out of him. Hey, big sook. Alright, so let's set up that bandsaw and get this show on the road. If we get enough interest in this, so this goes obviously from the lathe here to the milling machine, and I've done these lives before this time last year, but if anybody wants to see the second part of the process, the drilling part, which would probably happen tomorrow, put it in the comments and I will live stream that too. I'd give you a more polished edited video, guys, but I just don't have time. I'm working 10-12 hours a day right now, and will be for the foreseeable future, so I just don't have time to sit at home and okay, I need my pallet. Not going to be able to work without it. There. All right, we're happening. So the first thing we're going to do, we got our U-drill here. We're gonna punch a hole. That's a 1.9 inch diameter U-drill. And we've got our speed selector on here. So this is a 5 and a 10 horsepower motor. It's got, I don't really know motor speak, but it's basically wound twice. So when you run it on one set, it's running at 5 horsepower at half the RPM. And when you put it on the other, it doubles the horsepower. And then you see that in our gear selector up here. On the low it'd be 4, on the high it'd be 8. So it actually is 10 horsepower on 8 and 5 horsepower on 4. For the drilling, I'll slow it down. I usually do my drilling at 160 RPM and then my boring at 320. Probably could do it a little faster, but I don't use any coolant just because it makes a mess. So I run a little slower. At the end of the day, it all works out. So there, we're making chips now. Now this turret has its own feed, right? So we engage it with this handle right here, and then it'll drive the ram into a preset stop, which I dial in on these screws. So we're just gonna let it drill. It likes this 1045. I find with like 1018, it's a little bit softer and gummier. Sometimes I'll want to use coolant just to keep it from being stringy and to break the chip, but this 1045 makes a chip real nice and real easy. And so I don't really see the need to use coolant. The inserts last plenty long. Like if I use coolant, I would spend more money on lost coolant at $200 or $300 per 5-gallon pail than I do a $20 or $30 insert. I'll buy a box of inserts for that drill and they'll last me for a year doing this. So anyway, you can see some of the chips there. They get warm, of course. They turn a little bit of blue. You can see most of the heat comes out with the chip. Some ends up in the puck when it not in the puck, in the disc. When I take it out of the chuck, I'll use a rag or a glove just so it's a little bit easier on my hands. But anyway, we're almost through now. And should kick off the little ring on the inside. You'll hear that. Probably can't see it. Then I just kick off my feed. Normally it would stop. I don't really have my stop set because it's not that critical that we stop at a certain point, and I'm standing right here paying attention to it. I could set them, but I'm not going to bother. So we know that's a 1.9 inch diameter hole, and based on what we're doing the Jeep adapters up there. I don't know if you can see that, but we're going to do 2.840 diameter bore, and we're only going to take like a 400 thou cut, or 200 thou cut for a 400 thou overall bore increase. So we'll go in there, and because this only has 200 thousandths per revolution, and we don't always know where our revolutions are, like where we're starting. So I usually go down, poke the boring bar in the hole, come back until I kiss that, and now I know I'm at the 1.9. So I'm going to go 1.9, I'm going to go to zeros 2, 2.1. Okay, let's start this over again. I'm all mixing myself up. We want to do 2.3. So right now we're at 1.9, 0 makes it 2, 100 makes it 2.1, 0 makes it 2.2, 100 makes it 2.3. And now we're going to set this stop so that the next time we don't have to do that process. We're just going to crank down until it stops at that screw, and we're going to know we're at 2.3 already. So I'm going to put it on high speed, get it in there, and just, I like to touch it off just a little bit because the bandsaw is not always a straight cut, and if I let it go in, it might catch a high part of that cut. Now I could face it all off and then it'd be nice and straight, but I just find that's extra work. I'd rather just do my bores, and then I'll only have a little bit left to face, and then I face that and I turn the OD, and then I flip it around, do the other side, but you'll see all that. So anyway, we'll engage the turret, and now we're going to start making chips. And there we go, making chips. A little bit noisy, not sure why. Seems like we're going a little faster than normal. actually what we're going to do, I think we can do it all on 4 boring bars so that we don't have to, normally like if it was more than 4 steps I have to do, I would take the first boring bar and do like 2 or 3 steps just by cranking it up and cranking it down, setting my stops. But I think we'll be able to do this in 4 tools. So I'll just set each individual tool so that I can go around the clock and then it'll be correct, right? So 'cause I'm gonna do like 8 of these tonight. I'll not do them all in the video, of course, but maybe we'll do 2. We'll do 1, this one right here, where I'm doing the setup, and then we'll do 1 more just to see how quickly we can get through it without having to adjust the tool. So now we're at 2.3 based on here, and based on what we know, we set that on. So we're 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. So we're gonna go to 2.6. That was 400,000 on the first pass. Gonna go 300,000 on the second pass. That put us at 2.6 inch diameter. Little smaller cut. As the diameter gets larger, we're taking off more material, right? Because we're further out. So I like to take a little bit smaller cut as we're going out because I don't want to constantly throttle up or throttle down the machine, because then we got to stop the spindle, pick a new gear, shove it in, maybe adjust the foot pedal. It just slows us down. So try and find that sweet spot where we can do everything with 1 tool and then just adjust the cut for whatever diameter we're at where we think it's going to work good. Okay, so 2.6. Now we'll run the next tool. All these tools are off of a different machine, actually called a Warner Swayze. Some of you guys that might be watching this probably know what a Warner Swayze is. It was one of the very first, if not the first, turret lathe you could get. This is actually, from what I understand, is a Japanese knockoff. So 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. We're going to go 2.825. And then the last one, we're just going to take a very thin cut off. So I found all these tool holders on eBay, actually. I was fortunate when I bought this machine. I didn't know anything about it, let alone knowing what it would take for tool holders, but I was fortunate that because this is a knockoff, all the mountings are the same between this and Warner Swayze, which from what I gather, they had a feud about, but I guess the good thing for me is that many moons later, they're still available. These, because Warner Swayze is one of the first ones, some of these tools, as you can tell just by looking at that, right, that's pre-World War II. I've got a book all about turret lathes, which has this tool in it. That book was written in 1935. So these, these old machines are still relevant. Really, the only thing that's different from now, based compared to when it was a brand new machine years and years ago, is now we're using carbide insert tooling, whereas this would have been set up back in the day probably to run some sort of a high-speed steel boring bar setup, which would be a lot slower and a lot less efficient. So now I'm lucky they take an 1.5-inch boring bar, and the boring bar has flat spots on it, so my set screws work. It's all perfect. The geometry's right. So I got lucky in a lot of ways when I bought this machine. So now we're going to do, I think we're almost at 40 now. We must have been doing something like that. So I got to loosen the slide here. I know I'm going to get some comments about how close I am to the work that's spinning, but that's just part of the game with a turret lathe. You don't stop them every time you got to change something, or else you'd never get anything done. And the whole point of this machine is to get shit done and get it done fast. This machine is depending on how you want to measure efficiency. It's comparable in efficiency to a CNC lathe. The exception being that with a CNC lathe, you can kind of stand back and watch it work. Whereas this, you're pretty much hands-on. You got to work it, and then not only that, you got to have, I'm not going to say skill to run it, but skill to run it, right? Because where a CNC lathe, you can hire a guy to load parts and press the cycle start button, but on a turret lathe, that's not quite the case. So it's very difficult to find somebody to run them, which is probably one of the primary reasons they fell by the wayside and were replaced by CNC. But for a guy like me who doesn't mind standing beside the machine and pulling on levers, it was a cost-effective alternative. I got $20,000 into this machine. I bought it for like $6,000, completely blew it apart and restored it. And I didn't just I'm not just talking about a coat of paint restore. I like everything got put in rust remover and all the bearings and seals. And, we completely took the headstock apart and cleaned it. And, it's pretty dirty now because I use it, and I use it hard. I should probably take better care of it, but once you anyway. I'm just rambling here to fill the void. So we're 2.841. So we're not too far off. We were shooting for 2.840. Pretty happy with that. So we don't have to do anything more with our bore. All our tools are set up, so when we put the next one in here, we'll be able to fly through, and we'll actually look at the clock and time our progress. But right now, we're going to face this, turn DOD up as close to the jaws as I can get, and then we're going to flip it around and do the same thing. And then by then, hopefully our bandsaw will have finished its cut and we'll be ready to put the next one in. So, the digital readout on this thing is a must, right? So back in the day, you would run this graduated dial and you'd put your clips on there that would tell you where your stops are. But I mean, to sit here and try to dial that in, whereas I can just run off the DRO now and quickly see, you're doing math, right? You got to take the 7 and then add the 35, and I don't have time to do math, even though I know there's some of your old school guys that you get that's all second nature for you. I just want the decimal. That gives me the decimal. We're going to turn that to 1.75 inches thick. Right now I'm just taking a light cut off the front just to true it up, and then I'll take another cut off. I probably could have done it all in one pass, but first one of the day, I always like to take my time and be careful not to hurt anything. Okay, we're going to go to 1.8. We'll face that off. Try something here. Now I'm just knocking the corner off. So I use this the WNMG insert maybe, and I like it for this job simply because I can face with it, I can turn with it, and I can knock the inside corner off all with the same tool. I never put any other tool in my tool post other than this turning tool. See how this goes. See if you can see. Alright. Touch off. Hopefully you can still hear me. You're not around my neck anymore. We're going to turn that down to 7-inch diameter. automatically stops right there, and then I just knock my corner off a little bit so I don't cut my hands when I'm handling it. Take that ribbon off. And that's that. I need to find my deburring tool. I should have been a little bit better prepared, perhaps, but I got a lot on the go right now. I got a nice little red deburring tool that I would like to scratch the inside of that bore with, if I could remember where I last used it. Should be in here, but it's not. Let me pull this out of here. Anyway, next place it might be is here. Doesn't appear to be. Don't see it over here either. It should be over there. That's the last place I was using it. Another key in the chuck just for the haters. So what are you guys all doing for New Year's besides watching me? I don't even know how many are you watching me. I'm gonna guess. If I had to guess right now, I'd say there's 3 people watching. But I can't say for sure. That's usually... Well, I don't know where my deburring tool is. But I don't think we're going to waste a whole lot of time looking for it, so I'll probably just sneak through this first couple to get through this live stream, and then I'll worry about looking for it after. That bugs me. Should be on the mill or on this lathe. I don't see it on either one. Anyway, just the way she goes. Can't find it. We'll find it later. So we'll let that slow down on its own. Turn it around and go again. We don't need these bearings here. I'll show you that in another video. Shove them in there for now. This old machine's pretty accurate too, pretty true. You'll see right here, actually I had some trouble getting it true, and I actually shimmed it with a little piece of masking tape. You can see part of it sticking out there. And that was kind of a last ditch effort before I ground the jaws, and it just turned out that that was perfect. That was exactly what I needed, where I needed it. And I bet you if I've got 2 thousandths run out, which you'll probably see when I turn the other side of this, I don't think we've got very much run out at all. It's pretty darn true, which is spectacular for a 3-jaw chuck. So we're gonna take a cut off the face of this, but we're not gonna go right to our 175 because we want to verify that nothing got bumped through the night. We want to verify that our DRO matches our actual measurement. So we'll leave a little bit of material and we'll do it in 2 cuts. We'll just take enough off to make it smooth. So 1.770. We want to end at 1.750. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I really like this stuff. I don't have a whole lot of experience turning different materials, but I've got some 1018 and 1045, and the 1045 is so much nicer to turn than the 1018. Maybe if the 1018 was cooled as it's being turned, it would form a chip better. But I just find it makes such a mess on an open machine like this, and then you end up wearing half of the coolant. So we're going to turn that right down to 7" again, same as what we did in the last one. Turn the OD down. Ow. Caught in fingers. So we've got a little bit of run out. You can just barely see there. Which is nothing. So now we'll see how thick that piece is. 1.769, and I cut it at 1.7. 1.768. So we're within 2,000ths of what we want to be for what we're doing. That's well within tolerance. So we're going to set it to 1.750 and take the last cut off the face. We'll verify it one more time and probably readjust the DRO as soon as we get through this cut. Okay, before I move my saddle, I'm showing 1.75059, which is half a thou. We're going to see how close we are to 1.750, and then we'll adjust our DRO, and then we'll be bang on for the rest of the day. 1.747, so it's 3,000 strong. 1.747, enter. Now we're going to be accurate for the rest of the day. That's still well within tolerance. Like really, I only need to be probably within 50,000ths or 100,000ths on that particular dimension. Not critical at all. Just we want to keep them all fairly consistent so that when we go to the milling machine, that our top height is fairly close from one to the other, our Z surface, so that we don't crash tools or anything like that. So that's one donut, pretty quick and simple, painless. I don't know how long we've been on for. I should have a timer. But, so right now, I got my hands on the chuck, I'm taking it out. We're gonna time ourselves based on the clock. The second hand is going, it's gonna be 6 o'clock here in 10 seconds according to my clock. There's probably a little bit of a lag in the video feed, but as soon as we hit 6 o'clock, I'll take this out and then we'll replace it with another piece and we'll see exactly how quickly we can make the next donut. I'm not going to bother setting up the saw, or maybe I will. While it's drilling, I'll probably have lots of time. We're not really in a race, we're just more or less checking to see what the cycle time is, right? So we'll open that up again, tighten it down. I always snipe my chuck because I've had things come loose and it's not fun. So let's give you a different view. I'm not all the time. Slow her down. While you're drilling, I'm going to turn up the bandsaw to the top. Oh, you can't see nothing there. Okay. Let's see it there. you're supposed to do is just screw out that centerpiece. So now we'll go in with the boring bar. We have the boring bars all set. Speed her up, 400 thou cut. And we'll just let it touch off for a second to make sure we're nice and round so it doesn't pop. And now we're taking a cut. Back around my neck. It's never usually this noisy. I should probably check the insert and make sure that the insert's good. I am being a little bit aggressive. Boring bar sticking out a long way. One 300 thousandths cut. Really get in there and show you what's going on, but you get the drift. All right, third tool, 200 thousandths cut. We're going to readjust this right on the 40. And see how close we are. So that's right on the 40. If you can see. And we'll take the veneer and measure it in a second. See how close we got. Now we're on the fourth tool, taking the skim cut just to finish the bore diameter to as close to the diameter that we want. And we're through and our bore is done. Now we'll face it. It's a little bit thicker than it could be or needs to be, so it's kind of a thick, probably taking off 100 thousandths or 80 thousandths on this facing cut, but it handles it fine. Throws chips everywhere though. Now I'll stick my tool in there and chamfer the inside a little bit. Now we'll turn the OD, we'll turn it right down to 7 inches. This material's a few thousandths, maybe 80,000, 50,000, some of that over 7 inches. So it ends up cleaning up nice at 7 inches. Nice thing about a turn lathe is you can walk away from them because they've got the physical stops. You see it stopped itself. You don't have to worry about crashes as long as you take the time to set that stuff up. Still probably not a good idea to completely walk away from it. but pretty reliable. All right, so it's one side. Now turn it around. I always blow out my jaws just to make sure that everything sits good. And throw that part in there. Tighten it up with the vise. With the snipe, I should say. And we'll do the 1.750. As you can see there, 1.750 exactly. So now this is our Z and X speed, I guess you call it, in and out. In is gonna, actually we're facing, so we want it out. X and Z. Z is to the spindle, X is across, and then I think this would be a Y. I always get confused with the axes. You can let me know in the comments. So let me know, guys, if you want me to do any more of these live feeds, let me know. I'm just probably going to end this one here in probably the next 10 minutes. So before you leave, let me know if you want me to do any more of these, or if you'd rather see other types of content or none at all. Throw it in the comments for me, and then I'll check them out once I hang up here. And now we're set to 7-inch diameter again, and we're gonna take the last cut off the OD. And we'll knock the sharpness off the corner just to protect my hands and everybody else's hands. I'll explain to you what this is for in a minute. Once I get it out, I'll actually show you what and I showed you at the beginning of the live feed, but I'll show you what the end result is. So there we are. So we got our donut made. Bandsaw is only halfway through. I probably could speed it up a little bit, and that's what I'll do right now. But that part took us, if you can see on the clock and you can verify it by the ticker on the bottom of the YouTube, 12 minutes. So in 12 minutes we took a puck like this, basically, fresh off the bandsaw, and we turned it, we bored it to size and width in 12 minutes. I don't think that's too bad for a 1967 machine. But anyway, so this is the adapter that goes on the vehicle. You see we got 5 holes. This is for a Dodge Ram. And then we've got our own special bolt pattern. And these are the tracks that we build here. So everything in this shop, I own Ruby Tracks. We have another channel. If you want to actually see these things working, you can look on YouTube for Ruby Tracks. We've got a whole bunch of little videos on there. But anyway, this channel is more dedicated to things we do in the shop, because the guys that are interested in Jeeps aren't always the guys that are interested in lathes and milling machines. So, but anyway, this is the adapter that will bolt to the vehicle, and then that allows us to bolt the track to the adapter, and it allows us to compensate for all the different vehicle bolt patterns without having to have different bolt patterns on our tracks. So all our tracks are exactly the same. It's only the adapters that change. So now you understand. So I guess that's going to be it for this live feed, guys. Just a quick one, just to test out the camera and maybe feel you guys out to see if you want me to do a little bit of this. You know, my shop, I'm going to warn you, I'm not a machinist by trade. I'm just a guy that does machining. So I'm not going to do everything the way, like the chuck and the key, that just makes every real machinist irate. You're going to see lots of that. You're going to see lots of shit on the floor. All we are here is just you know, trying to survive. So I'm really not going to try real hard to give you the best machining videos you've ever seen. But if you find it interesting at all, then let me know, and we'll try to deliver a little bit more content like this during the busy season. Anyway, guys, I'm signing off now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. I don't know how to end this, but I'm sure there's a way. $62. I have no clue how to end this. Turn the camera off. And